You're welcome wherever you're watching us from. This is Al Kiblan TV. Today we have a topic of discussion, filmers, entrepreneurship. We know many people have actually watched films, and we have businessmen that have never thought of venturing into film as an entrepreneurship or something that can actually bring in income. So today we are going to have this discussion, and in the studio I have a director, I have a producer, I have a filmmaker, a writer at the same time, a content creator. I wouldn't want to say much about him, and today I hope you'll give us a teaser of what he has written. The client, we have been waiting so much for it. He has also written and directed 150K. And this is none other than Uptown Prince.
Uptown Prince, yeah. I'm Ricky Ranjadila, that's my real name. Though most people call me Uptown Prince, the boy at your neighborhood. I'm a filmmaker, I'm a creative artist. I do producing, directing, then a little bit of acting, then I do content creation. I'm also a director at Mish Creative Agency, an agency that deals in marketing, event management, and then videography. I also shoot content for other people, not only myself, but for other people, for the influencers, and so on. Yeah, I've produced 2 short films, 150K, and The Client. And yeah, I'll give you a teaser. Yeah, and this is the very first platform that I'm doing this. So I hope that you only be genuine to yourself. In the comment section, you can say, man, at least do this and do this, change this, Yeah, we could get things right.
I have an interesting offer for you. Ne chichi chokola mubino
ewaffe gyenva ensi esalawo kyeko. What do you want? Body to body? Holy water? Chimanzolo? Just tell me, what do you want?
Your work is good, but you're great with words.
I thought I'm just coming here to do what I have to do and go.
All right. The gentleman carries a lot of titles at his young age. mostly when we look at the film industry in Uganda here. And now this actually brings us to a very good topic, that since we are saying film as entrepreneurship, I know Uptown, I know it for a fact, and we are going to have this discussion in the future, not right now, in the future of the episodes to come. But I know as a fact that we have very many good businessmen that have actually never looked at film as
a business. Yeah.
Yet they can actually dig in and get the money. And business is not for everyone. We can have very creative guys, but these guys need to be managed. These guys need by business people. So maybe we have a lot of creatives in the film industry that are actually trying to be businessmen, and they don't actually carry the mind of business. Yet we have very successful men who have actually never looked at film as a venture. Now, if you're a businessman out there and you're actually watching this, after this discussion, we actually think maybe you will think twice, because the film industry has money. It's just that we don't have men with enough business capacity to actually, business tenacity to bring out what is actually expected out of film as entrepreneurship. So talking about film as entrepreneurship, Uptown, you said you have directed, you have written, you have done quite a lot of things. You have created content. Why don't you take us through the process from your personal experience, maybe?
Okay, the processes. Anyway, I'll first give you a little bit of my story, how I entered into film. I'll be brief. You know, I like this story because I want to inspire others, or even show them the growth, how I'm growing. So first, I was just a secondary school student at St. Janan, and then I had this love for film, and you know, at one time I wanted to drop out from school to come and do film. But then, my parents wouldn't allow that. So when I entered senior 5, I was there just in the school but not studying, because I did all the courses, all the combinations. I was a science at the same time an artist. You know, I could go for PEM, BCM, head, what everything, but just because I didn't want to study. I knew I wanted film. So I have a caring mother. He goes and then to get some motivational stories. He tells me about Bobby Wine. Like, man, you see, even Bobby Wine is going back to school to do this and this and this. You know, and then so some person comes from KFS. I think you know about that school, Kampala Film School. He was like, we have a course for film at this school. So I'm like, wow. So, but you only need like one principal pass. I was like, wow, how much is it? 2.5. Why is it very expensive? Because you have equipment and all this. The business is expensive. Like, okay. So I went to Mama and I told her, Mama, I'm going to go for KFS, and they want this kind of money. My mother was like, even if it's 10 million, I'll pay it.
Hey.
Just go to just do what you want, but I want you to first do it, first study. So when they tell my father is like, nah, if it's not market, I'm not paying any money.
the pride of Uganda and Africa.
Yeah. So when I had that, I was like, my mother went back and checked for those courses in Makerere University. I was like, hey, there is film. So he came back again. He's like, there is another course, but they need 2. I was like, only 2 principal passes. Guy, I read. I got 3 principal passes, but what I'm saying is that there's something that I loved. I loved film, and I could do anything for it. You get?
All right. So for you, your parents were actually willing to actually push you. They basically looked at what you wanted, not what they wanted. But as long as you have gone through school.
Yes. And that's the okay. It wasn't more on the side of my father. He had his other things that he wanted. Though my mother wanted me to go through school. Parents are scared of what will this person say.
They're actually scared of the external voices.
Yeah, and I don't.
My child has not studied. He's setting a wrong example.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get back to the question about the process of filmmaking. Filmmaking is it is the real business. Why? Why do I say that? Because it involves a number of people. If I'm making one film, I might employ 100 people in just one film. So that brings me to pre-production. Pre-production is anyway. It's not even pre-production. We have what we call the first steps of the writing and what brainstorming, the writing the story and what. Then we enter into pre-production, then production, then post-production. That's the editing, and then lastly we go into marketing the film. I won't go in details of all those stages because if I go in details, they are detailed.
Okay. Yeah, saying if I go into details, they are actually detailed. In the details, they are details.
Yeah. But when we speak of my film, The Client, it was an idea. It was an idea that it actually it's a true story about a lady, a prostitute, a prostitute who went for an old man. You know, so this old man had a dead wife in his room, and he wanted her cleaned up by this lady. So this lady thought he's going to go and do the thing, and you know. So it was a story that I saw on some YouTube channel, and then I didn't create the same story. I was like, okay, this is not the lady now. Then the next lady that goes there. So I created that next lady that went there.
Oh,
you understand it?
I get.
It's like, this is my day of life. This is the day of life. But then I'll create the other day of life, the next day of life. So I created the other lady because I didn't go and interview in person. But if I wanted to create that, I would first go and interview those people. They tell me about everything. They tell me about what I'm supposed to write.
I want to pose a question. What is you as a producer, writer? Maybe there's someone out there, because I know there are quite a number of people who are actually not studying these things, but they have actually passion and they have actually sat down, they have drafted things and they're looking for people who can mentor them. They're saying, I've written this, can you look through it, and all this and all this and all this. What are the challenges that you as a person, when it comes to the processes that you have actually faced? And we are looking at experience personally. We don't want to enter into books, problems faced by the processes of film and all those things. We are person, most especially drawing from the client.
The challenges in the processes.
Yeah, in the processes, what could, maybe you said pre-production, post-production, then production, then after marketing. In those stages and the processes, which stage did you actually meet the biggest challenges?
Mostly it's production. Anyway, I was challenged by all the processes. Yeah. The creating, you can be there, and then whatever you think, whatever you're seeing, you're thinking about the film. You cannot actually think about anything else. You think about it. In the first stages, I wanted to write this film. You see, I had the story, so I wanted to write it. So I was very into it. I want to write this. But then my co-producer, Jemba Jonathan, he was like, man, I wouldn't like you to write it, because you're going to be the producer at the same time the writer. What does that mean? I write while thinking about my pocket. A beautiful house. So I'll be like, an ordinary house, because I know I cannot afford a beautiful house.
I get.
Okay. So I was like, let me give someone the liberty to do whatever they want. At least we shall improvise, as I was gonna say. We shall improvise. So I gave it to Patrick. I think Umtia. He's a very good writer. Writes at Damali, wrote at Urban Life, then Hidden Palms. He's a very good writer about it. So he wrote that film. Yeah. So he got that burden from me. So it wasn't a very, very bad burden. It wasn't a very big burden to me at that time. But then when we went into pre-production, I faced a lot of challenges in getting the locations and so on, because I was disappointed by. I first paid for the first house, and then the shooting was tomorrow. I found out that the person who I paid wasn't the real guy. They wasn't the owner of the house.
Was not the owner of the house.
Yeah, so I had to pay, and the owner of the guy wasn't willing for me to shoot. Wasn't willing to give me the house, so I had to look for another house. So when I found another house, it was very costly, because they knew that I needed this. I was like, I'm shooting tomorrow. Like, you're shooting tomorrow? I won't give us 500,000. Imagine 500,000, whereby just the location and a one-day thing.
It's a one-day thing.
It is a 6 hours thing, but then you're not telling them. You don't tell them that's a 6 hour thing. They only hire for a day. They only rent for a day.
Okay, guys, if you're actually watching this, basing on what Mr. Uptown Prince has actually just said, This is a real business venturing opportunity because we are looking at costs, we're looking at risks, and
Capital.
labor, all these things. Different guys are hired to do these things. Location. I've actually noticed very many people sit down and they're watching the final product of everything, and they're like, "Wow, the movie looks good," and all this. Yet, actually, this is business itself.
Happiness is not in the destination; it's in the journey.
Repeat that statement. Happiness is not in the destination.
Happiness is not in the destination,
but it's in the journey.
The journey of making. That is the real beauty.
The real beauty.
Film. Yeah, it's we who get interested in that journey. You see, when you're there at that time, it's a challenge. But when you're telling the story, it's beautiful.
Actually, the previous setbacks push you for the next. As long as you have done it, you'll be like, okay. Seriously, to when we are talking about film as entrepreneurship, it actually now gives me, very many people do not understand this, that when you're entering into film, there is actually an outcome of it. You're going to draw out. It's just the same as any other business that other people do, and it's actually worth venturing into.
Let me tell you something. At that time, I couldn't afford my house rent of 500,000. I couldn't afford sleeping in a house of 500,000, but I could afford a one-day location of a film
of 500,000.
You see?
This is very interesting because we sit and we just see the end result on screen, and actually we don't know that this is actually a real business thing.
And that's only pre-production. Because you have to buy the props, you have to do the setup, you see. Then the crew, because you should meet the crew first. Those meetings, you spend a lot of money. So, I mean, you invest a lot of money in film.
Okay.
So now we enter into production, the real production, the day of production. And then one of my actresses she appeared at the end, but then she was very, very late. And in film, each hour is money, because we rent these equipment not daily, hourly. Is that what they?
Yeah, that's what is there, hourly.
Yeah, hour. I don't know how to say it, but that one. We rent this equipment. So if I call you at 7, then you come at 9. It means they're still charging me for the camera. They're still charging me for the costume, for the location, So I was very worried. I was like, wow, so this lady is not here. But when she came, the beauty with it, when she came, she gave me the best performance I've had.
Yeah. I don't want to touch this because very many times when we are talking about film as entrepreneurship, people look at the end goal. Now someone may be asking, so after I have invested all that and paid 500,000 for one day, someone's rent for a month or something like that.
Get there.
Now, how do I
get the
money back? Guys, when we come back for the next episode, we're going to handle this. Afton has to tell us exactly from where do we draw back. We have spent on mangoes, we have now squeezed out the juice. How do we start getting back that money?
We are freezing it now, want to sell it.
Alright, we shall get you in the next episode.